Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special session meeting. And today's date is April 21st, 2026. And the attendance at the meeting at this time is myself, Board President Lisa Johnson, my second Vice President Chris Nearing, trustees Carol Seahawk and Megan Messer. It's also anticipated that first Vice President Juan Leon will be arriving roughly around 6, as well as trustee Leslie Kretz. Also in attendance tonight is our superintendent, Dr. Gina Talbot, our assistant superintendent of finance and operations, interim, Joe Dodone, and our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, Mary Stevens. It's anticipated that our director of human resources, Dr. Lundell, will be arriving in the meeting roughly around 6 as well. Also in attendance tonight is our counsel, John Sheening. And I should have said that the meeting was called to order at 5:45. At this point in time at 5:46 p.m., can I have a motion to enter into executive session for personnel matters related to personal individuals, particular person's employment history, and then also advice from counsel and negotiations update and as well.
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nearing is first, Carol Seahawk for second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We will resume open at 6:30, and then we will recess into the audit committee at that time.
At 6:31 p.m. At this time, can I have a motion to recess from the special meeting open session to enter into the audit committee?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nearing is first, Carol Seahawk is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. So we are now in the audit committee. So at this point in time with the audit committee, if you have it out, the purpose is the corrective action plan. And we have had the recommendations from the auditor. If there's any questions on this. Does anyone have any questions on the corrective action plan?
So I thought we would just kind of go through it since it's not that long. So we're talking about the audit report that we received in November, that now we're putting together a corrective action plan. Okay, so can we just go through it like
Sure.
one by one?
Yes, so the
Okay.
first one is
First time we're
the
talking about it.
fund balance school food service fund. And everyone, the current status for the fiscal year ended in June 30th, 2025, the school board service fund received increased state and federal reimbursement for student meals served and ended the year with an operating surplus of approximately $313,600. As a result, its assigned fund balance increased to $1,519,903 and is in excess of the 6-month average expenditure threshold. So we recommend that the district formulate a plan for utilizing the school food service funds excess. Food service fund excess fund balance for permissible expenditures and lower it to acceptable levels. So our response was the interim assistant superintendent for finance and operation at the time. Recommendation was made has unfortunately left the district before such plan could be formulated. And the new interim assistant superintendent for finance and operations began on March 3rd, 2026, and will work with the food service manager to prepare a plan for utilization of this excess funds no later than April 21st, at which time that plan will have been approved by New York State SCD and will then be presented to the Board of Education for approval in time for the inclusion of a proposition, if necessary, placed on the May 19 budget.
So there is no need to have a separate proposition. If the Board of Education chooses to allow us to use these excess funds to improve the serving lines at the middle school and high school cafeterias, and to renovate the space in the kitchen by cleaning it up, buying new equipment, etc. What we would do, with your permission, is to add $600,000 to the transfer to capital fund and add an interfund transfer from the school lunch fund to the general fund as revenue, so that there would be no impact on the tax levy. It would reflect, however, an increase in the budget. So instead of 2.14, it would be whatever 600,000 represents. I guess it's about 0.5%, 2.64. But that's up to you. This is not something that you're required to do now. You could do it next year.
Just wait, okay. So the question that I have is, this is, we would have, if we're gonna do that, we would have to make that decision tonight. If we're gonna,
The only decision you'd have to make tonight is allowing us to add a line to transfer to capital fund to move $600,000.
Okay.
We would then come back to you with the specific plans for how we're going to use that money. There have been plans already drafted and approved by the State Education Department, plans for creating new serving lines that would be configured better so children could get in and out of the serving lines more quickly, to renovate the space by putting epoxy paint. You know, the epoxy paint that we use in the hallways that just makes it look clean, to buy a walk-in freezer for use at the high school that would be used to hold the food. It would actually be placed in that courtyard, which is adjacent to the kitchen, and staff would have access from the inside to get into the freezer, and delivery people would have access from the outside to deliver food. So with your permission, we would put this money in the budget, but not do anything until you've approved the plans.
okay. Any other questions on this?
Yeah, yes. So this fund is supposed to pay for food, but we're allowed to use it to pay for paint?
Yeah, we're allowed to use it to enhance the school lunch program by buying equipment that's necessary to store the food, to serve the food, to make it an appealing place for children to eat their lunch. Absolutely, we are allowed to use it. Don't forget, this is not taxpayer money. This is from two different sources. When it used to be that children paid
Right.
for their lunch. Now we're getting this money directly from the state and federal government through the Community Eligibility Program, which is a program that allows us to say every child gets free lunch and the state will pay for it. So as a result, we've had a lot more revenue come in, and we'd like to use it to enhance the program.
Okay, it's still tax money, but state and federal money is still tax money, but.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
$600,000. What are we allowed to hold in? Because it says we're in excess of 6 months of the average expenditures.
Right. $600,000 would bring us down to about $900,000 in the fund balance, which is approximately 6 months of operating costs for the school lunch program.
Okay, so we're going down to what we're allowed to have and potentially incorporating these upgrades.
Yes.
And we,
And I'm not asking you tonight, members of the board, to approve the specifics of the upgrades. I'm just asking you to allow us to put the money into the budget so that we can continue the planning process, bring you schematics.
Right, the needed upgrades.
Right, absolutely. And then complete the construction during the summer, if we can.
This, this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a surplus for years and I don't know how many years, so.
In
why
fact, the,
hasn't why hasn't this been done
the
before?
last time I was here, we had a surplus and we used it to buy a generator.
Right, that's right.
So that we could
I
keep
remember.
the refrigerators operating.
Yes,
So, and the generators, just so happened, we put in generators that also could turn the lights on in case we have a power
right,
failure.
right.
But that was allowed by the state. This, we've already checked with child nutrition. This is allowable, what we're proposing
So
here.
that was my question, because I knew the middle school has the backup generator, which is why most of the food storage happens at the middle school. So we're suggesting to put a walk-in fridge at
Walk-in,
the high school,
walk-in freezer,
freezer,
yes.
but there's no backup generator at the high school?
No, there is not. But there shall be at some point in the future. I am sure that Mr. Galena will be pushing for a backup generator to be there as well.
For lights, life safety, I would think.
Yeah.
So we don't have to put this as a proposition
Not a
because
separate
$600,000.
Not a separate proposition, but it would be listed as one of the items in transfer to capital fund, just like right now we have repaving of the northwest parking lot, et cetera. So this would be one of the items in transfer. And again, the revenue would come from an inter-fund transfer. The school lunch fund would pay the general fund $600,000, and we would use that revenue to do these upgrades, and taxpayers would not have to pay another penny for these upgrades. Think of it like a capital reserve, but the school lunch fund is holding it.
So I guess I would ask that the response be expanded to explain the $600,000 transfer and what we think it's gonna cover. Because then is this response gonna go on our website under finance?
Sure,
So
I
that
could
the-
certainly add a sentence to that, absolutely.
So let's to be clear, if we're gonna add the sentence, then let's be clear on what we want the sentence to say. Do we want to say to enhance, the school lunch program for the middle school and high school? And the money will be used, so that way we know what the response is, because we need to vote on this, tonight. So therefore, one agrees upon on the language. So I don't know if you want to put the language together for us, Joe, and just read it out.
I'm changing the last sentence.
Yeah.
I'm changing the last sentence to say, for
Okay.
approval in time for inclusion on the May 19th, 2026 budget vote by increasing the transfer to the capital fund by $600,000, which will be paid for by revenue from the school lunch fund.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
now you
pay for
understand.
anticipated improvements at the middle school and the high school.
Sure, we could even describe it a little bit more than that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so just read it one more time for us. You think, Joe?
I just want, I want to emphasize this.
Yeah.
That this will increase the
Budget.
budget,
Right.
not the tax levy,
The expenditures.
the expenditure side of the budget. The revenue is not coming from taxpayers. It's coming from the school lunch fund.
Right.
Think of the school lunch fund as a separate business. It's actually called a proprietary fund, meaning that it's run as a business and it's supposed to break even. It's not supposed to accumulate large surpluses. It has accumulated a large surplus. The only thing it could do with that large surplus is to improve the facility or return it to the general fund. I don't think you just want to take that money and put it in the general fund. I think you want to do something to improve the program.
Right.
Agreed.
Can I ask it's a silly question. Improving the serving line. Well, why would that cost us money? Just, Bear with me.
Because the current
picture it.
serving line configuration would be changed. There'd be new equipment, there'd be new steam tables,
Okay.
there would be new refrigerators.
So things would change actually where.
Yeah,
be
sure,
Picking up food and being, okay. thank
sure.
you.
Mr. Jagone, do we want to limit ourselves to the middle school and the high school? What happens if something should come up in Northeast and Northwest,
Or Park Avenue.
where you can use some of that money?
We could certainly expand this to say, I don't know what we can get for $600,000.
Right, but I still wouldn't want to limit ourselves to the middle school and the high school.
Okay, so at our 5 buildings.
Right.
Okay,
So the plans that had been submitted to the State Department, under the initiation of Ms. Buatsi, included the middle and the high school, and the walk-in freezer, to be at the high school. However, the design of taking down a wall, moving space back, could not be done because of the, pillar and necessity of the wall. So these designs have gone through some ebbs and flows and adjustments over the course of time. So realizing that the funding was there, the plan has been in place, and now it has been tweaked, right? Such that we're able to move forward with it. So to expand other items that can be included at the elementary schools is certainly welcomed. It may just not necessarily be capital, but it can definitely, yes, definitely go to improve those programs.
And just correct me, as the board, we've been receiving those drafts, correct, of the drawing for the middle school and high school. So
Who has?
we all have been receiving the drafts in our
Sure, what?
packets.
yeah, we sent it
Yeah.
home in Friday's news and
Yes.
notes.
We've been
And
getting
a couple of times,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Any other questions on this one here?
I'm
On-
sorry, what do you mean by the draft?
So-
Draft plans?
Not plans, but what I'm
Oh.
referring to is that there was design, there have been designs that have been sent home in the news and notes, just kind of updating us and saying that if we were able to do it, this is potentially what it would look like.
Oh, I thought you meant that we saw drawings or something.
No,
You're
just,
saying like a paragraph
no,
in the memo
there was a diagram. It was in our news and notes.
this past Friday?
No, it's been a couple of times, yeah, but
Wow.
throughout. Yep, look back, it's been there. Right, so I'm going to go on to the general fund unassigned fund balance. So Joe, do you want to address this? Yes, that-
So this is really a simple one that is just a clerical manipulation, so to speak. Shouldn't use the word manipulation. Business officials never use the word manipulation. But we really need to account for the money that is currently in the unassigned fund balance in the amount of 7.24% of the following year's budget in a different way. We are only allowed to keep 4% in the unassigned fund balance, meaning 4% of the subsequent year's budget, which would be 4% of 123,000, blah, 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 whatever our budget is going to be for next year. So it is our plan to present to you in June a series of resolutions that authorizes the district to reallocate the money that's currently unassigned into assigned. And we can do that in a number of ways. One way, which the CBAC noted, was I took all of it and just put it into the ERS reserve.
Mhm.
That was kind of clumsy of me. Forgive me for doing it that way. I did not mean that we were just going to dump it all into the ERS reserve. It came to $5.9 million in the ERS reserve. And the CBAC rightfully pointed out that that's a lot of money to keep in one reserve. So what I would suggest we do is in June decide on a plan for how we're going to reallocate the additional funds into the ERS, TRS, unemployment, and EBLR reserves. Now, why do I pick those four? Because every year you will have the opportunity to decide when the tax levy is too large, you will have the opportunity to decide to take some of the money that you put in those four reserves and use that money to pay for expenses that year for the ERS pension, the TRS pension, unemployment costs, and the EBLR costs, the employment benefits, the payout that we give for unused sick time. The other fund that you could put it into, if you wished to, is the capital reserve. The problem with putting it into the capital reserve is that it cannot be used to mitigate tax increases in the future. It can only be used to complete new capital projects. But that's a decision that the Board of Education needs to make. And you don't need to make it tonight. In June, we're gonna present a series of resolutions to you, which will say things like, shall the district be authorized to maintain up to $5 million in the employees' retirement system reserve, up to $2.5 million in the teachers' retirement system reserve, up to $700,000 in unemployment. And then when we do close the books, come the middle of July, towards the end of July, and we know exactly how much money we have, we could then come back to you with a series of resolutions and say, and this is what we did with it. You gave us permission to put up to $5 million in ERS. We put in 4.5. So that's what we're recommending to you. And that's my response to the auditor's notice that we do exceed the 4%. It's a violation of real property tax law. It's a serious matter that we have to do something about.
So Mr. Dragon, why can't a portion of that be appropriated to mitigate this year's tax levy?
Every penny of it could be appropriated.
No.
That's up to the board.
To
That's up to the board.
to reduce the current tax levy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. But I keep reminding you, Mr. Leon, that is a one shot that will have a wonderful impact next year and will cause you absolute financial heartache forever.
Well,
Reducing the levy by $1 million below the levy limit, which I know you have proposed, would result in the levy being permanently suppressed $1 million less every year forever. The only way you could get that back is by piercing the levy limit at some point in the future. I will not, as your business official, recommend that to my superintendent, that's the way we go about doing it. That's all I have to say about it.
Any other questions or comments on this area? All right, I'm moving on to the capital.
I'm sorry, I just want to say, we had to have resolutions to formally move this excess money, if I remember, before June 30th, 2026.
Yes, that's correct. The practice of this, of the auditors in the State Ed Department is that you should do it during the year. You should set up these resolutions during the year. You don't have to move the money by June 30th because you don't know on June 30th exactly how much money you're going to have. So at the conclusion of the audit, we will know exactly how much money we have, and we just want to develop the resolutions that give us the flexibility to come back to you and say, this is what we want to do with the money.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to capital asset. And Mr. Dragon, I'm gonna give that back to you.
Sure.
Is there anything you want to?
This, again, this is a simple one. It was noted by our auditors that we had not done a physical inventory of our assets in a number of years. The last physical inventory of our assets was actually done in 21-22. The last time I was here. We now need to do it again. We've had for the past few years a group called Asset Systems that has maintained our asset inventory. And so we're recommending to you that we engage them to do the actual physical inventory, meaning they would go around to every building, every classroom, every closet, and scan the barcode tags that are on every piece of equipment, on every truck, on every ladder, on every asset that we own in the district, and match that up against what we say we have on our books. So they would say, okay, you told us that you have 1,000 laptops. We found 999 of them. Can you find the last one? And with good luck, the last one will be the one that I brought home the night before.
Okay.
So that's what a physical inventory does.
And so that will be, the goal is to have that done by the end of June.
In fact, I am working now with Asset System
my
to
question.
determine the week that they will come here to do it
And it takes,
in this year.
it just takes them a week to do it?
A week, maybe 10 days.
Okay, all right.
This should be done every year?
No,
No.
No.
it's not
I've-
necessary to be done every year. It's necessary to be done occasionally.
Okay.
Some districts do it every 3 years, some do it every 5 years.
Olivia Bawazzi actually brought it up last year that we would do.
We
Right.
needed
Right.
it. Okay.
I do have a question, and this is more towards our superintendent of schools. Since we no longer have a director of technology, the director of technology used to be tasked with knowing when the smart boards, a certain amount rotate out, new ones rotate in, same thing with laptops and other equipment. Since we no longer have an IT director, who is that fallen to? Or who's in charge of that right now?
So our technology is under the supervision of our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction and our Senior Network Engineer spearheads the rotational and the cycle of all of our technological assets. This particular assets is for assets for our capital, and that is overseen through the business office.
Okay, understood. It may be a valid discussion for another time, but when we look at this budget and we see that we are just about doubling the amount that we pay to Syntax, and we're also giving $2,500 stipends to individuals in every building to run their portion, their building on the website. If it is it worth doing that? Or if there's, do we ever plan on getting back an IT director or not? So that's
So,
good
no,
discussion.
it's a discussion point, and I appreciate it, but it's not really connected to the capital asset, but I understand why you brought it up at this point in time. Thank you. Anything-
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Chris.
So I know on the agenda today is the agreement for capital assets, it's the asset management service proposal. And it's stating that this quote does not include the cost of travel and expenses related to inventory services and or training. Are we expecting to have an additional travel expense? Because I see this company is based out of Phoenix.
Yes, there will be.
So do we know how much more it will be?
No, but it will be very closely monitored. I mean, it'll be a flight, obviously, from Phoenix to New York. Probably some kind of transportation from the airport to the school district. And those are costs that we would normally pay for someone who comes from out of state to do work for us.
Is there no company that's closer?
Well, the Asset Systems is the company we use every year to do our annual update. So we could have another company do this physical inventory. The problem is then that Asset Systems will not match up with the physical inventory being done by the other company. So we'll have two different lists of assets. And our auditor has suggested to us, Alan Yu has suggested to us that we do it this way so that we have one continuous flow.
So basically they have us in a stranglehold because they're holding all our data for the inventory?
No, we own the data, but
Have
Yeah.
history.
I'm not fully understanding. So, because the resolution says we haven't done this in a number of years, so we've done other asset.
on an annual basis,
Yeah.
we have, when we purchase items, we add them to our inventory. When we realize that an item is obsolete and no longer needed, we discard them from our inventory. We actually remove them from our inventory.
Okay.
But what we don't know, Megan, is if a piece of equipment has walked,
Mhm.
we don't know that.
Okay.
This will help us to verify that all of the pieces of equipment that we purchased are still in the service of the district. Okay?
And we went out to RFP and we had 3 quotes and we,
No, we did not.
so isn't that per our purchasing policies?
Well, again, if you want to do that, we will then
Delay them.
have 2 different systems. This is the recommendation of our auditor that we do it this way.
I know we're on a deadline for it because we're behind, but I would like to, going forward, see if there's a transition to a more local company. I mean, I find it hard to believe that they would basically just be holding us for the rest of our existence because they've done our inventories in the past.
Gotcha.
But there's no real like timeline. I mean, I understand that we need to do this and it's a smart thing to do, but it's not like we have to do with the unassigned fund balance by June 30th.
Could we get an estimate of the travel expense?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So let me suggest, if you wish, audit committee, that we change this to say, the current interim assistant superintendent for finance and operations will schedule a physical inventory of its assets through a provider that will be procured through an RFP process.
Yes.
Putting it off.
Yes, we're not doing it now. Our auditors will slap us again and they'll say, okay, once again, you didn't do it, but you know
We'll
what?
have an RFP.
But
Yeah.
why can't we, and I don't want to put words in Chris' mouth, excuse me, but why not just use this company for this year, but then as we move forward, definitely make sure that we look at other companies that are local, so therefore, we don't have to go for someone who's out of state. That's number one. It also will give us time to, if we find someone local, they can also look at what we currently have to make sure they can merge all the data into one area. So I think, to me, that's most important, to make sure that I'm sure there's I don't know if there's other companies or not, but if they are, that we can make sure that we have the right match for our district. So I do agree in terms of looking at other people, but I'm just suggesting use this company, use the provider for this year, and as we move forward, look at other companies.
So
That's just my
do,
recommendation.
in essence, do a procurement for an asset management company effective July 1st, 2026.
Right, but go forward with the one we have now, but then That way we-
I
that
guess-
way- that way we can get it off, we can get it off.
Got it.
It won't be something else that will be here, but we can move forward and then that way.
So we
That's the
don't need
question.
to put that in the response, in the corrective action plan, but we do need to have that as a priority for the month of June, July, looking for a new asset management company.
Right, right.
So that,
Sure.
okay, that's Lisa's opinion. I would like to comply with the policy and the district policies. This is something that's gonna cost $20,000+ because it's $17,000 without the travel. So I'm off the top of my head, being on the policy committee, we did that division earlier in the year. And we talked about going out to RFP for multiple quotes for anything over like $10,000. So
Your
that's my
pleasure.
opinion.
Your pleasure, audit committee. It's your recommendation and the board will consider your recommendation when it gets it.
Well, Mr. Dragon, look, you've been an administrator and in this business for a long, long time. I'm
You
sure.
don't have to remind me how gray my hair is.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm talking to your experience and
Yeah,
wisdom.
I'm with you.
That's what I'm speaking to.
I got you.
But what I'm getting at is that in your travels, surely you've seen or heard of or worked with other companies that do the same thing as this company in wherever they are, Scottsdale, Arizona, wherever. I mean, have you? Have you seen companies that do the same
Of
type
course.
of work?
Of course they're all.
Do you have any idea how we got linked up with this? Not saying that they're bad, but what was the deciding factor to choose this?
I don't know. It wasn't a decision that I made. I'm sorry. I
No
don't know.
They've been around for years. Have they been around here in the district for years?
I think they started in 23,
Oh.
Oh, so,
22 or 23.
so they don't have much of a history then.
Oh, okay,
They've
so.
been with us for 3
So
years.
that's the question. How long have we been utilizing this company? Has it been 3 years,
About
10
3
years,
years.
15 years?
So,
How many inventories have they done?
Excuse me?
How many inventories have they completed?
They have not done a physical inventory of our
So I
equipment.
thought I thought they had been around for years.
okay.
That was my impression.
So based on this new information, I don't know, I don't know
changed it.
what the loyalty is to this. Okay.
Then
I
I
think-
changed.
Okay, all right. So,
I-
you know,
yeah.
yeah, for me, I'm gonna hop on, I'm gonna piggyback on Miss Trustee Messman.
Yeah.
If we have not used this company and they're in Scottsdale, Arizona, let's see if we can find another company that's competitive in price, reliable, and does the work that we need. That's my
So
recommendation.
I thought that they had been around for years. So I thought they'd been around like for 10 or 15 years. That's why I was saying stay with this company.
6 years.
So just a point of clarity, the last time that this was done was 21, 22.
As far as I remember, yeah.
Do we recall the company who facilitated the
I
asset
think-
inventory?
I think it was done by CBiz, which is a company that is under contract to NYSER, our insurance company. And it's done under NYSER's rules. CBiz does it every 5 years for its member school districts.
Didn't Mr. Snyder contact them about this company and they were gonna do an inventory for us?
Yes, and when I spoke with Alan Yu, his recommendation was that we use the asset systems that we currently use in order to do this inventory.
Okay.
I am more than
Sorry.
willing.
Maybe I don't, I would is, if they haven't done a physical inventory, how are we using them?
We're using them to, on an annual basis, update our books by
Okay.
spot checking, by doing whatever procedures they follow. I could get more information for you.
But
I don't have it.
we have that data,
Yes, it's our data. Yeah.
so don't we have the ability to transfer that data to that CBiz company? If we own the data?
Yes, it's our data.
Yeah.
Our data.
Right, but that data also probably needs to be updated. I mean, but that has to come from us.
So-
We're talking about physical assets.
So Joe, what was the language you used before about,
Say that again?
there was a language that you used before. I don't know if you recall, after Megan had recommended about the RFP, there was something you had stated that you
Oh,
would revise
to
it.
to revise this?
Right.
So it would say that the assistant superintendent will schedule an RFP for the purpose of securing a provider to conduct a physical inventory.
Okay.
So, Madam President, can I make a point of clarity here? During last year's recommendation, this item came up. Carl Frazier began to do the research and discovered that there was the asset systems and that prior work had been done by them in terms of inventory. Now, perhaps it was not one of the larger inventories, but evidently it was one of the annuals. And so when the conversations ensued with the auditors, this company came up as a company that had done prior work. So we want to research because evidently they've been around. When Mr. Frazier was assisting us in terms of responding to where we were in the inventory process, contact was made with this company, which was already intact. So we may have a little more research to do as to when they initially started in the district. And as a result of that, the auditor suggested we utilize who we had to do this capital asset inventory. In doing so, it would put us in compliance with what the auditors are requiring of us, but of course, the ultimate decision lies with the audit committee.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Talent. All right, so everyone has the updated language?
I have two sets of languages, two sets of words. I want to make sure I put the right
Okay,
ones
go ahead.
down.
Do it again.
The words would be, will schedule an RFP for procuring the services of a company to conduct the physical inventory. That's number one. Number two was the original language. So I just want to get a sense of which one we're recommending to the board.
I think it's the number one.
Number one, you got it.
Yes,
Well, that's just me.
I agree, number one.
So I'm going around.
I know Megan one said already.
So
number one.
Will, yeah.
Should we say, is the RFP gonna be done by June 30th?
We'll
Is that
do it-
reasonable?
We'll do it as soon as we can. I don't know that we'll get responses by June 30th, but we'll certainly have an RFP out on the street by then.
Okay, so then the auditor sees that we're making progress.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just
So-
want to, if I may, as of June 30th, Mr. Dragon's time with us will have expired. Once again, we will be in transition in that office. And so just a reflection, partially we are where we are today because of the transition. So just be mindful that if we're going out for an RFP, when we do have the option to waive the policy to be able to move forward to comply with the auditor's recommendations this time and now, and moving forward, use the procurement process. So just reminding the board that once again, we'll be starting afresh because the RFP process may not likely be closed out by June 30th.
Thank you. Any other? So let's just come to a consensus on this one.
I'm sorry.
RFP.
Language
With
number
regard
one
to
or
what?
language number two?
I thought we did.
Well, I heard from a couple of people. I just want to make sure.
Okay, Leslie is.
I said to go out for.
RFP.
Okay. All right, so.
Okay.
All right, special aid fund, Mr. Dragon.
So this recommendation comes from the fact that we have what we call receivables on the books, some of which are uncollectible. And what the auditor has suggested to us is that we review the receivables to determine whether or not we should write them off. Writing them off means that we will stop attempting to collect the funds because the funds are not available for us. We did that in 2021. We wrote off the summer program receivable balance of $137,000. You did that during the 24-25 school year. But we still have from the 21-22 summer program receivable, $183,000. So the corrective action plan says that the assistant superintendent will work with the director of pupil personnel services and our state aid consultant. We use a man named Anthony Kashara, who's very knowledgeable, to review the cost of BOCES and other special education summer school providers to determine the appropriate amount of costs that can be billed to and reimbursed by the state. In fact, we already started that process, and we have submitted updated what are called rate setting documents where we can get more money back from the state. And the remainder of these costs will have to be budgeted as part of the general fund because we're still going to run the program. It's just that we're not going to get the money from the state or the federal government. And that's what this
Any,
response is.
any questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Dragon, can you just go into a little bit further detail on how these, I don't know what you want to call them, deficits? If you want to, how are they caused? Are they caused because the district believes we provide a service and we are to get paid a certain amount and then we don't get paid that certain amount?
Correct.
Okay, not trying to criticize. How does that happen? In the real world, how does it happen?
The state every year reviews the program costs that we have through a special schedule that we submit. It's called the SS-10, in case you really want to get nerdy about it. And the SS-10 is where we report everything that we've expended. The state then looks at those expenses and says, okay, this is aidable, this is not aidable, et cetera. Normally, we get about 80% of the costs reimbursed to us. Sometimes it's only 70%. So that difference accumulates, and we carry that as what we call a receivable, meaning we're going to go back and try to get that money, but we don't have it in our hands, so we can't count it as revenue, not until we actually receive it. After a few years, we look back and say, we've tried, we're not going to get this money, so let's write it off. Writing it off means we're giving up on collecting that money. The state has won. They've said we're only going to give you 70% instead of the 80% that we had counted on.
What can we do going forward to limit that, limit the problem?
We're doing what we can right now. We're trying to make sure that our rate setting documents allow us the maximum amount of reimbursement. That's what we went through in the past couple of months with Anthony Kashara, with Christine Intrieri, in submitting to the state so that we have a higher reimbursement rate.
Are these programs ever designed to be like a zero net cost to the district, or we always intended on paying something?
We always have to pay something.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
In general, we expect to receive about 80% back. We never get the full 80%. It's kind of like when you do a construction project and you expect to get building aid of, say, 55%. But in fact, when you look at the project, there are some things that you do that are not allowable costs, like you do site work. Not an allowable cost, you don't get aid on it. So you get 55%, but of a smaller amount.
It works similar to co-insurance.
Right.
All right, any other questions on this area? Okay. Capital projects and fund balance?
I hate to say this again, because every time I've said it, we've had a half-hour discussion about it, but this is really a simple one. We did exactly what the auditor suggested we do. Last year, we put in the budget a transfer to capital of $570,000 in order to pay off the bond costs that were not yet paid. How did we do that without raising taxes by $570,000? We had a bunch of projects in the capital fund that were complete and had money left over, not spent. We transferred from the capital fund to the general fund $630,000, which was the sum of all of those extra funds that were not needed for completed projects. So the general fund received as a revenue $630,000 and paid to the capital fund $570,000. And as a result, this recommendation it's been done. Quite frankly, I don't know why the auditor even put this recommendation in, because this was done last year in May of 2025. So this report is for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, but I'm not going to argue with the auditor about it. I wrote, we did it. Thank you for the suggestion. We've done it.
That's why I brought it up last time, because I was confused that he was saying we hadn't done it, so hence the half-hour conversation.
And thank
But-
you, Megan, for the fact is that last year in the budget brochure, in the budget newsletter, there was just a line that said $570,000. It did not explain what that $570,000 was for, as I've just explained.
Yeah, yes,
This year, the budget newsletter will say,
for the
well,
food service. as an
$1,288,000, right? Which consists of the following projects:
example. Mhm.
renovation of the middle school, high school, Park Avenue, et cetera,
The parking,
cafeterias,
the
the
okay,
parking lots, et
Mhm.
cetera. So there'll be a list of the projects that we're going to do
Okay,
with that $1,288,000.
excellent. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Dragon, I do want to thank you again for your explanation, because I had this question a couple of weeks ago as well, because the $570,000 appeared.
As a transfer, yeah, it wasn't revenue. It was
It
interesting.
actually appears as a loss.
Yeah, it says transfer from capital fund. It
Right.
was not a transfer from the capital fund. That
Understood.
$570,000 was a transfer to the capital fund.
Understood. And the reason why I flagged it, or I needed a further explanation, is because on the 25-26 budget, it's literally listed as an income source, which is not listed as an income source
Yeah,
for,
and
for
that,
this year.
the income was the $630,000 that we transferred back to the general fund from the capital fund for the projects that were completed and still had money allocated for them. Trust me, I feel your pain when it comes to explaining this to you, but the fact is that we cannot do capital projects without voter approval. So we could not spend money on the bond project without having the voters approve spending that money. So we had to put in the budget the $570,000 to spend and recognize as revenue the $630,000 coming back. Okay?
All right.
Understood.
So are there any other questions on any other areas of the corrective action plan? So as a reminder, when we go back, when we close out the audit committee and go back into open, that the corrective action plan is on the agenda for approval. So I'm just asking the audit committee that when we get to that point, that the corrective action plan to be considered for approval with the amended changes that were discussed in the audit committee, and that's how I'm going to present it. Is everyone, yeah.
If I could just, Ms. Johnson, if I could, I just want to read
Yes,
before we come out of audit committee.
That's what I was going to answer the other one. Thank you.
So the first one, fund balance, school food service fund, now says, the last sentence says,
Hold on one second. I just want to write it. I want to look at my notes. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
the last sentence says, at which time that plan will have been approved by NICEAD and will then be presented to the Board of Education for approval in time for inclusion on the May 19th, 2026 budget vote by increasing the transfer to the capital fund in the amount of $600,000 for the purpose of improving the serving lines and equipment in all of our cafeterias. It is noted that the expenditure will increase the budget for 26-27, but will have no impact on the tax levy.
Okay. Everyone has that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I put in all because we have the ability to decide. If we don't say all, we won't be able to do any work at Park
Could
Avenue.
we change that to any?
Any?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because all would make it seem like we will
Thank
make
you.
changes on all.
That's great change. Yep. Thank you. In any of our cafeterias. And the only other change I have is in the capital assets. Right now, it's going to say the current interim assistant superintendent for finance and operations will schedule an RFP for procuring the services of a company to conduct the physical inventory.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed, yes.
So does everyone, as the audit committee, we agree on these changes to the corrective action plan?
Yes.
Yes. I just have a question. Where are we accepting it on the agenda? Because it's listed as 2D1 and
Right, but that,
3D1 as well.
So the difference is 2D1 under the audit committee. The audit committee would vote to accept the district's corrective action plan. And the other resolution would come under the Board of Education approving the recommendation of the audit committee.
Oh, because
so we
we're
just-
an audit committee and we're a Board of Education.
right. So we, first
We
we
have to
just,
do it
first we
twice.
just, first
Okay.
we accepting the corrective action plan
Okay.
from the audit committee, and then we have to, then we'll vote on it.
Okay, thank you. Right.
No, because I'll do that when I go back and look again. Yeah. Right, so at this time, at 7:28, can I have a motion to close the audit committee and resume open session for this special meeting?
Motion.
Chris Nairn is first, Leslie Kretz is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Now we're back to the special session meeting. And at this point in time, as a reminder, you please note where the emergency exits are located. No smoking on school grounds, and please silence your cell phone, and please join the Board of Education in Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Talbot.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, Mr. Dragone will review tonight's budget presentation with an emphasis on the 26-27 budget, as well as the property tax report card.
I want to take you one more time through where we are on the 25-26 budget. This is just a reminder. This is no change from the last information I gave you on April 1st. We are expecting a surplus of revenues over expenditures in the amount of $2,583,724, which I propose we use to reduce taxes in 26-27. This would still require us to apply approximately $309,000 from our reserves to balance the budget for 26-27 that we presented on April 1st, assuming that we adopt a tax levy increase of 1.56%. What's new? Last time we talked about the fact that we wanted to replace the fire alarm panels in Northeast and Northwest. And in fact, we had it in the budget to do that at $55,000 apiece. The reason why we wanted to do it was because they are old and they're causing us to spend money repairing them. They're just old. They're not broken. The schools are still safe. They're just old. However, when we talked to our architect, we discovered that when we submit a request to the state ed department to replace the fire alarm panels, the state ed department may say to us, the fire alarm system is old and needs to be replaced with an updated system that meets current code. I need to emphasize this. There is nothing unsafe about the fire alarm systems that we have in our schools. They just meet old code. They don't meet new code. And if we attempt to replace the fire alarm panels and the state says to us, well, if you're going to replace the fire alarm panels, you have to replace the whole system, that will be a $500,000 expense, not $55,000. We're not ready to absorb that now. So what we did was we increased the allowance for minor building repairs by $20,000 out of the $110,000 that we took out of the fire alarm panel replacement. And the last $90,000 we transferred to the capital line. And the reason why we did that was because if we do just paving work, just site work at Northwest and Northeast, it would generate no state aid, no building aid, because we're not improving the facilities for instruction. I'm not saying that the work on the paving is not important. It's just that the state says, you do it, go ahead, but we're not going to give you any aid for it. So by putting $45,000 into the capital line for each of the Northeast and Northwest schools for the purpose of interior renovations, upgrading bathrooms, replacing asbestos-containing building material, which is vinyl asbestos tile in some classrooms, etc., we would be able to hook the paving project with the interior work and the whole project becomes aidable. That's significant for us. That's a lot of money for us. So by adding $90,000 to the capital line and removing $90,000 from minor maintenance building repair, we're probably going to, in the long run, get an additional $200,000 in state aid. the net impact on the overall budget is zero. Because we've taken 110,000 from one line and moved it into two different lines. This chart you've seen before. This chart you've seen before. What I'd like to present to you tonight is an overview of the revenue budget if the levy was set at 1.56%. At this point, I just want to point out the $2,892,915, which I've highlighted, which is the sum of the 2,500,000 and something under expended and the $300,000 that we're taking from reserves. The total revenue budget in this chart would be 2.14%. But I want to say again, if the Board of Education accepts the recommendation of the Audit Committee tonight, this 26-27 proposed budget would be $123,963,246. But the local revenue would also increase by $600,000 because it would be an interfund transfer from the school lunch fund to the general fund in that amount. So the tax levy would not change. I'm just looking to make sure I get some nods so that, because I know that that's not apparent, but. And here's an analysis, and this wouldn't change, by the way. None of this analysis of sustainability would not change by that additional $600,000 in the capital fund. You'll see that I responded to the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee recommendation by reducing by $1 million the amount in the ERS pension reserve. It was $5.9 million last time. It's now 4.9. And I spread that money out among some of the other reserves. Now, I'm recommending that you put it in the reserves that we can use on an annual basis to offset costs and therefore mitigate tax increases. So you'll see that the bottom line is still $15,984,958, which would be available in fund balance and reserves. And after 4 years or 5 years, we would still have $15,936,000 in fund balance and reserves. In other words, the fund balance would actually increase by $231,000 as a result of this plan. The board asked that I present a scenario where the levy would increase by 1.45%. Here's what that scenario would look like. Again, this chart would be updated because the budget would be 123,963,246, and the total local revenue would be 5,472,175. The budget increase would be approximately 2.54%. But the tax levy would still be 1.45. Here's an analysis of the sustainability of this proposal. This would be a fund balance decrease of $103,500. And I will tell you that it's not a rounding error. I don't want to minimize it, but 103,000 loss or a $231,000 increase in fund balance is really within the range of sustainability. You know, if we were talking about millions of dollars, then I would have some serious concern. Now, here's an alternative plan. An alternative plan would be to take another $500,000 out of the ERS pension reserve and put it into the capital reserve. Instead of only 250,000, adding 750,000 to the capital reserve. I know Al Galena would be very happy that I'm suggesting this to you because we, as you know, we have a lot of work to do. The disadvantage to this proposal is if you look to the far right, the amount of money that we would have available to reduce taxes in the future has declined by $500,000. So you're going to have a little less flexibility in terms of setting the tax levy in the future, but you'll have set aside an additional $500,000 for capital projects. And by the way, $500,000 is not a magic number. You can say, let's put $1 million into the capital reserve. And then you would be reducing the amount of money you have available for the future by $1 million. I don't recommend it, but that's a decision that you can make as a Board of Education. You've seen this chart already. I won't belabor it. I've put onto this chart the difference that a 0% levy increase would have compared with a 1.56% levy increase. I point out again that it ranges from $15 per month to about $5 per month. And for the difference between a 1.56 and a 1.45, it ranges from $1 per month to about 50 cents per month for the quote average homeowner, whoever that is. Last but not least, we need tonight to adopt the budget so that I can file on your behalf a property tax report card. The property tax report card is due at the end of April. It must be submitted. Actually, it's due Saturday, the 25th. So I didn't know that that was called for a cord, but it must be submitted Saturday, the 25th. It must be submitted to the State Education Department, and it must be submitted to newspapers of general circulation. They do with it what they want. They don't have to publish it. They could, if they wish. A number of newspapers do publish the property tax report card information from various school districts because they're required to receive it. This is what it would look like with one exception. See the top number, 123,363. That number would be 123,963. And the budget increase would be 2.64% roughly. Everything else would stay exactly the same. And this is what a 1.56% levy would look like. If it was set at 1.45, the proposed levy would be 67,935. And the difference would be an additional less $76,072. That's what the difference in a 1.45 versus a 1.56 is, $76,000. The next thing we need to publish as part of the property tax report card is our fund balance information. You'll notice that the adjusted unrestricted fund balance this year is 7.3%. That's the violation of real property tax law that we have to correct. And we will do that by reducing the unrestricted fund balance to $4,934,530. Now, we actually could add $24,000 to that because we're proposing that the budget increase by another $600,000. So we could put 4% of $600,000 in the unassigned fund balance, an additional 24,000. The advantage to keeping 4% in the unassigned fund balance, I think that I've said this a number of times to you, is that you never know what emergency is going to come up. You never know when a child is going to come to us and enrolls in a charter school. And we need to find the money to pay for that child attending a charter school. Well, if we have $4,934,000 available, the board has the option of going to that fund and saying, let's appropriate some of that money and use it to pay for that child going to a charter school. You'll see also that the adjusted restricted fund balance is increasing from $9,400,000 to $11,100,000. That's where we're putting the extra money that was in the unassigned fund balance. We're putting it into assigned fund balance, restricted fund balance. And again, our choices are to put it in reserves that we could use on an annual basis, TRS, ERS, unemployment insurance, EBLR, or a really restricted reserve like the capital reserve, where we need to go back to the voters to have them expend the money, and it can only be spent on capital projects and can't be used to impact the tax levy. And the last part of the property tax report card is a report of our reserves. We're required to report to the state how much money we have in each of our reserves. This is not money we're going to have next year. The money we're going to have next year will be determined by the board in June. But what I'm required to report to them is how much money did we actually have in the reserves as of March 31st, and how much money do I project we're going to have as of June 30th. And the reason why there's an increase is because we are earning interest on that money. So I have to account for that, and the interest must be apportioned to the reserves, congruent with the size of the reserve in relation to the entire balance. You'll notice that there are a couple of reserves that are larger than you might have remembered, because when we received that $2 million from our assemblyman, Kwame, we moved $1,250,000 into the capital reserve, and we spread the rest of it out among the ERS pension reserve and the EBLR reserve. And that's it.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yes, Madam President, I do. I will wait for Mr. Dragone to get settled before I ask him financial questions. Well, Mr. Dragone, let me start with an easy one. And here's a learning opportunity for myself. For the ERS pension and TRS pension, are there percentage cap limits on those, such as reserve funds?
Yes, there are. The the TRS pension is limited to no more than 10% of the total salaries paid to certified staff in the district. So that the maximum amount we could put into the TRS pension is whatever 10% is of our certified salaries. My guess is that's about $2.6 million as a maximum. The ERS pension reserve, there is no hard and fast rule. The comptroller has opined that in some districts that have 6 times the annual ERS cost, that they're within their rights to do that. So our ERS bill is about $1 million a year, and we could certainly put $4.9 million in the ERS reserve without causing any eyebrows to be raised in Albany.
So, Mr. Dragon, I know that I've been talking a lot about the 0% tax levy increase. And I do understand your point of view. I do understand it. But I want to make sure that you and maybe my fellow board members also understand a counterpoint of view. Okay? In my opinion, a 0% tax levy doesn't permanently damage the tax base. Okay? It simply sets a more appropriate starting point. Okay? It's a reset in the sorts. And I say this because in 2024, this district accessed 47 staff members. Okay? So the cost on the district for their healthcare plans are off the books. Teachers' retirement contributions off the books. Dental plan and a few other things off the books. That is also part of the surplus that we brought in. So when I say I don't usually advocate for a 0% because I know how difficult it is to achieve it with the cost of fuel, contracts, everything goes up. It doesn't go down. But when we were told, not by you, by your predecessor, that we have achieved a record-breaking $10.6 million surplus, and you're also telling us tonight that there is a possibility, if the board wanted to, we could still do that, although it's not your recommendation. It can be done. So the point I'm trying to make is possibly keeping the taxes artificially high today, artificially, just to preserve the future taxing capacity, because that's what you're talking about. When you say we will lose money forever and it will never come back. Okay, but to keep these taxes artificially high today to preserve the ability to tax at that level shifts an undue burden to the taxpayers without justification. And that's just my opinion.
Does anyone else have any comments?
If I could just give you a piece of information that might be helpful to you.
Are you going to say it nicely?
No, I'm going to say it on, yeah. Because I am like the senior business official on Long Island, I have for the past 20 years or so been collecting from school districts throughout the island what they plan to put on their property tax report card. I collect it with the knowledge that they have that I'm not going to share their particular information because it's not due, as I said, until April 25th. So I'm not going to tell you individual districts. But there are 64 districts that have reported to me so far. 56 of them are setting their levy at the limit.
And like I said, Mr. Dragon, I understand the strategy and I understand why that's done. Okay, but with our surplus, even today, we could eliminate the tax burden. I would love to see less reliance on reserve funds because we still, in my opinion, use more reserve funds than I'm comfortable with to balance this budget. And instead of starting with a zero increase scenario, what did we do? We found, in other words, capital reserve projects that would normally be voted on, like you said earlier, by the taxpayers, put into normal lines. Like, for instance, getting paving work done at 2 schools, $149,000 or 100, whatever the number is for HVAC work, masonry work. These are all things that would normally be capital reserve projects that will be voted on for the taxpayers. So essentially, there is no vote for the taxpayers for that. We put them in the line items. But the benefit is that we have the money to do these things. So it's a matter of how you want to slice it. Getting these projects done is going to tremendously help our school district. There's no doubt about it. But what I don't really appreciate is that we went out and found expenses to spend down the deficit. I'm sorry, the surplus, in my opinion. That's what I'm not too happy about with the process.
I would
I don't know if it's-
like to disagree about finding expenses. I would look at it more like these are expenses that are already there, should have probably been taken care of over the past few years. And it's just now coming to fruition where the district has funds to take care of some of these items.
So just to chime in, I think it's maybe not spending down the surplus, but including the expenditures to the top of the tax levy. So I'm following your logic because as we keep talking about all of this great capital work, which I acknowledge what you're saying, Chris, too. It needs to be done. But we have the money to do it and still give the taxpayers a break. And I am still on the page of giving the taxpayers a break because we live in a very expensive state where we're taxing our residents out of the state. And we have a lot of money right now that this district has not seen. We have $8 million that we taxed that we did not need to tax. And now is our opportunity to give the taxpayers a break.
Maybe now it's our opportunity to give our students and continue working towards a better buildings and grounds and building the infrastructure back up for the students.
So I think that we still have it in here, though. It's still
Right,
in here.
and
It would
we're-
be
And
less,
we would be,
But it'll be less.
be less.
no, there's no less. I'm not saying that we're cutting any of the expenditures. We're saying that we would not need to be asking for the revenue from the taxpayers because we already took the revenue from the taxpayers. And now we're just talking about where to save that money in our reserves. So we already have the money from the taxpayers to balance this budget without asking for more money. And I'm not suggesting to cut any of the expenditures.
And
And you know me, I'm an engineer. I want to talk about this, the capital work. So I'm not suggesting that.
I think also, this is just my perspective, but, we're in a position right now to allow the district to have that little bit stability from the money that's there. It would allow us to also, and I know that we were not cutting anything, but it'll allow us to do the repairs or upgrades in different buildings that have long been needed. We've just been kicking that can down the road to do those things. But it also will put us in that position that we have that money there. So therefore, down the line, we'll be in a better position. And I just feel that I'm not in support of going down to 0%. I'm at the 1.56%. And that's just my perspective. And I think that, and I hear what everyone is saying, but that's just my perspective. I think that we need to continue to work on improving what we can do for our students academically within our district, as well as our buildings and our structures. So everyone sitting at this table, we're all taxpayers. We know the impact it's going to have on us. But I'm in support of I'm in support of the 1.56. I'm not in support of going down to 0%.
So, I mean, I think we have so much money in reserves right now that we don't have to tax the taxpayers, and we could still move money into capital if everyone was worried about capital. So and I don't know that we don't even have to make a decision on this alternative plan of moving $500,000 to capital tonight, right, Mr. Dragon?
Correct.
No,
You could.
You just presented it as an option,
As an
but we could
alternative?
do it whenever we want to do it.
Yes. You could put, you could take the 250,000 that I originally suggested and make that 0 and put more money into what I call the fungible reserves, the ones where you could, on an annual basis, reduce the tax levy for costs that you're going to incur every year, pension costs, unemployment costs, et cetera.
What did you call the reserve? You're suggesting we could,
Fungible it means that you could use it for other purposes. You don't have to use it. You have to use it to pay pension costs, but the pension costs are part of your general fund budget. So by moving that money from the reserve to the general fund budget, you're in essence reducing the tax levy, the burden on the taxpayers, by using that money instead of asking the taxpayers to come up with more money. I just, I know
Right.
$15 million is not, $15 million is nothing to sneeze at. But I just want to remind you, we are among the lowest percentage
yep.
of
It's all
fund
about-
balance on all of Long Island. The average is over 24%. We're at less than 15. So we're not swimming in money.
Well, yes, you've told us that a few times. Yes, I haven't forgotten. But I do find that this is a unique opportunity where we have the ability to still add to our services, still do capital work, and still give our community members a little break.
That sounds like stabilization.
All right, so
Well,
anyone?
let me just react to the stabilization thought.
Okay.
There are two different ways of building the budget over the years. You can do this with the tax levy, or you can do this, and then this, and then this. I don't think it's wise to do these big bumps one way or the other. I think it's wiser to say to people, we're shepherding your money as best we can. We'll return what we can to you when we can. We're going to build up our fund balance and reserves to protect the future. We're going to provide services to kids that they need. I just think it is short-sighted, forgive me, my opinion, short-sighted to reduce the amount that you only have really, in essence, two sources of money besides the tax levy. You get state aid and you get fund balance application. That's it. Those are the two big sources of money. If you reduce the tax levy, you're going to have to count on an increase in those other sources. I guarantee you state aid ain't going anywhere in the next few years. So you're going to have to reduce the amount of money you have in reserves. And I think that that would be a mistake. Just my opinion.
But, and So just talking to the board, because I understand your opinion, there could in subsequent years be that we might not be able to fund the amount of capital work that we're suggesting that we're able to fund for next year. Or there might need to be other efficiencies found, like as an example, we found an efficiency tonight in that we didn't go out to RFP for the asset management company. So there, we would have to potentially in subsequent years find efficiencies in our expenditures. I thought that I had asked to see this sustainability table with the 0% for tonight. And I mentioned that at the last meeting because I want to see it, but we also have the Citizens Community Advisory Committee that worked and met multiple times and looked at the numbers with Mr. Snyder and with yourself, Mr. Dragon, and they came to us and they recommended giving the taxpayers a break. They recommended the 0%. They said, okay, we understand the expenditures and we recommend the 0%. So I had wanted to see the sustainability table with the 0% tonight. So I wanted to mention this, the CBAC too, because we do have community members volunteering their time and that was their recommendation.
I do remember the table that I provided to you with 0% that showed that the fund balance would be $10 million after 5 years. It's not in
You
this
had it.
presentation.
Yeah, you had your Excel up at one
Yeah.
meeting.
And if you set the levy this year at 0, you are going to eliminate $5 million in revenue over the next 5 years. And as a result, you will drain $5 million from your fund balance. And instead of $15 million, you'll have $10 million. I cannot recommend that. And I think it would be a grave mistake for you to do that.
Right, so, okay, so you didn't bring it today. But-
No, but it's
in-
on the website.
It was there.
What
And I
was
did-
your Excel file that one night that you did
There were 3 charts, one of which was a 0, and it showed that the fund balance would drop to $10 million over the space of 5 years.
Any other questions or
I
comments
do.
before?
Yeah, I do. The
Go.
capital work, when do we think that the capital work would occur? Now, we have this latest discussion about the fire alarm panels.
It's nothing.
I'm sorry, the bathroom work, the asbestos containing tiles, so that we can make the project state aidable. What do we think the timeline is for the paving and the bathrooms?
Well, we haven't even asked the architect to do the drawings yet. The drawings would have to be done. They'd have to be submitted to the state ed department. My understanding is that right now there's a 6-week delay in projects being approved by the state education department. So I don't know if we'll be able to get it done this summer. We may be able to do it in the fall because doing a parking lot could be done, in stages. And we might be able to do it while school is in session or over a break. So I don't know. Forgive me, long-winded, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Also the interest on estimate our interest earnings, $50,000. What is that on? The estimated interest at 3%? What is that calculated on?
I'm sorry, which page you want, Megan?
I'm just looking at the sustainability table
Yeah.
for the 1.56% tax levy, the estimated interest at 3%. What is that being calculated from?
Hold on, let me get there.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. So every year when we have money in reserve, we put it into a bank account to earn interest. We'll put it into the highest yielding bank account we can find. I'm estimating that the interest rate we'll earn is about 3%. It's actually a little higher than that right now, but I don't know where it's going to be, 6 months from now, depending upon what's happening on the national scene, what the Fed does, could be lower, could be higher. So the 3% represents the interest that we're earning on the reserves that are listed above. And we need, every year when we get that money, we need to apportion it to the reserves so that each reserve gets its interest. And the way we apportion it is if I've got one reserve that's twice as large as another, I give twice as much of the interest to that reserve as the smaller one. Because we keep them all in the same bank accounts.
Okay. I guess.
I wanted to know if, we've had this discussion before with the charter schools. How many, I forgot, I don't know, I probably in another notebook, but, how many children did you add to the list this year? Or how many students going to charter school or predicting?
We added to the budget from 1,739,000 to 1,940,000 or so, which represents about 10
Oh.
children that
Okay.
we added to the budget.
So you added more
But
than,
You
never know,
Then
right.
1,940,000 is based on current enrollment.
You also, it's
Yeah.
showing 1,984,000.
1,984,000, yes,
Yeah,
because.
because an increase based on anticipated enrollment.
Right, we added 2 children at 22,000 apiece, so that's 44,000, that's why it's 1,984,000. Yep,
so you only added 2 children?
yes,
A total.
and I think right now, I think that might be a low estimate, but I don't
Very.
know because I don't know how many of the children who are currently in charter
Going
schools
set.
are going to graduate,
Mhm.
are going to move out of town, are going to be in Nassau County and be the responsibility of another district. I don't know that.
And when will you get that information?
yet. Not until September,
That's-
actually.
okay.
And by the way, I misspoke last meeting. We do require children who attend charter schools to submit transportation applications.
Mhm.
So I apologize. That was incorrect on my part. And we're going to work with Nate and my accountant in the business office to try, and Jen Wolf, to get the 3 of us on the same page
Mhm.
so that we have one master sheet that's showing who we're transporting, what schools they're going to, how we're paying them. Jen does the registration part, Nate does the transportation part, and Marianne Niblock does the payment part. So I'm going to put those 3 great minds together and get you more information about charter schools. And
But that-
hopefully the charter school resolution that you passed the other night will have some impact.
That only has an impact on students that would require transportation. So if
Right,
somebody decided to take their own child to the charter school, that wouldn't,
right.
Get
I don't
flagged
know
by
why
that.
somebody would
Right.
decide to take their own child to Academy and Roosevelt or, the chances are they'll come to us and ask us for transportation. And they must ask us by April 1st. However, yeah. The real problem that we had this year was that last year, you adopted a resolution to extend the mileage limit to 17. That added another charter school to our catchment area. So we have now 6 additional children who are attending a charter school for whom we need to provide transportation that we would not have had if we had kept the mileage limit at 15.
I don't think we spoke about the charter school.
Yeah, but
Must
you-
have-
that was part of the
no?
discussion.
So the law is really clear.
Right.
that all children similarly situated must be treated the same way.
Yeah.
So private school, charter school, you want to go to a St. Anthony's, if St. Anthony's is within 17 miles, guess what? We have to provide transportation to St. Anthony's, just like we provide transportation to Amityville High School. That's the law.
So, what are additional questions though,
No.
board members have?
So I do have one additional question. So the CBAC committee and some board members, if you recall, discussed the Summer Bridges program. It's a good program, but it sounded like there wasn't going to be enough time to really implement it to its full potential. So has the budget been changed to reflect that, or?
No, sir, because last
Okay.
time, as I remember, there were one or two board members who didn't want the Summer Bridges program, and the majority said yes.
And
Good.
also, Mary
Oh.
Stevens said that it was well underway.
Yeah.
That we were not having difficulty implementing it.
Any other?
Yeah,
What additional
last time
questions?
I had agreed, one, that I was also thinking to postpone it, but it was just 4-2, I guess.
Correct. Any additional questions or comments that anyone would like to add? So at this point in time, if there is community input regarding the board agenda items? Hold on a second, please. Thank you. You can go ahead now.
Hi, Margaret Shuff, Amityville. I'm sitting here kind of shaking my head, quite concerned. I'll just address one thing on page 3 that was just discussed regarding this whole explanation of points 1 through 4. Mr. Drangon basically said, you know, we're gonna move this to that, and we're gonna do this to that, and we'll, point 3 was add 90,000 to transfer to capital, 45,000 each for Northeast, Northwest schools, interior renovations, bathroom upgrades, ACBM, floor tile replacement, so on and so forth, so that there's net impact on the overall budget, which is 0. And then 10 minutes later, he basically said, but we have to have an architect to look at that. So you're assuming a figure without an architect's number, just pulling it out of the air. And that makes no sense. So you're saying one thing, you're going to try to do another thing, but there's no figures involved, and you're saying, okay. And then you said something about 200,000 in state aid, which we all know that state aid is not a guarantee. So you're giving a figure on state aid, you're giving a figure to rob Peter to pay Paul, and then to pay for the bathrooms and so on and so forth, but yet we don't even know how much that costs. So that is completely concerning, and your whole dynamic of thought scares me. Then we'll talk about the children and the charter schools and everything else. At the last meeting, you said 2. Today, you said 10. So I don't know which way to Sunday that your brain is working on this one. It's very confusing and very sketchy on how you present. On item number 3D1, which is the auditor's plan for the internal controls of the assets. That was a cluster altogether on that explanation. I find it very concerning that you don't have a command for that. And basically, if you had a company that did it a couple of years ago, you were mentioned that you have 2 lists and they won't match, and you work from the old company and then the new company and so on and so forth. So the new company hasn't done anything with us, and there's no figure on this resolution to even figure out, I was walking in at the time when the discussion came up. So what is the figure if you don't do the RFP or whatever? If this went through, what would be that figure? Mr. Dragon.
Oh, the asset thing?
You're directing to.
Direct your questions to the
was-
Well,
board
what's the,
president.
who knows the figure of what 3D1 would totally cost?
I think it was,
Below 17.
it's $17,000
Little
was the
17,000.
asset.
Let's
And then and then we talked about how there was, the travel was
Travel.
separate.
Yeah.
So,
From-
yeah, it
from-
was
from sunny Arizona. Okay, great.
$937,000.
And you did in your conversation state that there are local companies that do this as well, correct?
It was all discussed during the audit committee and it was already addressed and the minute language has been revised.
I'm
Right.
sorry?
We discussed it in the audit committee. The language has been revised for
Okay.
that section.
And the other,
And your time is up.
I know.
So thank you. Anyone else who has a comment or question?
And it's appalling that you didn't present a zero option.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I support the tax increase. Is it possible to have the business official explain how much money that would actually impact every family?
I
Like,
think
is it like
he-
$100?
he did do it already. It's on the
Okay.
presentation. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
on
I'm
today's,
just,
it's on today's presentation. If
I don't
you
have a
take-
copy. Is it like around?
It should be in the back. Some presentation should be in the back.
Okay,
So.
so like I said, we say, let's give the taxpayers a break. How about we give the students a break? How about we give them everything that's needed to be successful? On 1 minute, we're complaining, we're not superintendent goals. Next meeting, we're not offering what's needed to make us successful, our students successful. So again, I support the tax levy. I am very much in support, and I think that people really need to sit back and think what's best for our students.
Thank you. Any other input on agenda item?
Oh, wait.
Just
Good evening.
hold on a second, please. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I think trustee Messman has a full grasp and understanding of the budget, and it's clear that some trustees don't, and it's clear that some speakers don't understand the budget. There was nothing being cut out of the budget. The students were going to have the support, and the surplus was going to offset the tax increase. That's how the budget works. Nobody's saying anything to cut anything for the kids. Budget and kids go hand in hand. Just a few things. Deeply concerning that the superintendent is to enforce policies. The board creates policies that govern the district. And now at almost every single meeting, she's suggesting to suspend a policy. You're the governance team. Absolutely alarming. As far as the audit, the majority board fought really hard to keep Mr. Snyder because he was so great. But the management letter, the corrective action plan was supposed to be 90 days and we're 8 months later doing this. As for the asset management consultant inventory, I really don't understand this unless I'm missing something. I do this in my business with companies, multi-million-dollar companies. You have a spreadsheet with the make, model, year, value, serial number, replacement cost, actual cost value. Am I missing something? Is it harder than this? Your facility director gets paid handsomely. Let's have him do his job. You have a really big habit of, or I shouldn't say you should have a habit because it's up to you whether you approve or not, but this superintendent is constantly recommending consultants. It would be wonderful if everybody that got these six-figure salaries did their jobs. That's really not complicated to do. Had you had a spreadsheet, and if the district managed this every year as they should, which should fall under your director of facilities, we probably would have had a better handle on the missing John Deere tractor. Also, I see that there's a conference for $850. This is business. This is nothing personal, but it's to update skills. You have an interim business official for 2 more months, and you want the taxpayers to pay this when there's no return on investment, no long-term value, and you have a fiscal responsibility to us. Lastly, I think that you should be passing a 0% tax increase. You overtax the taxpayers. What I got out of this entire presentation is that your business official really, really wants to tax us, really desperately wants to tax us. When are we going to stop being cash cows? At what point? Oh, one more thing. Number B3 is blank. Are you appointing, is there going to be an appointment? Otherwise, you have to remove that. Is there an appointment on
When I
that?
get there, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other community input on agenda items?
I just have one last thing. Thank you for all the questions that everybody asked and the explanations. I think I might have mentioned this at the last meeting. It's really inappropriate to list the trustees' addresses or any budget committee members' addresses. I know the number's not there, but you identified these streets of where they live. I think it's really inappropriate. I've never seen something like that in 31 years.
Thank you. Any additional comments on agenda items?
Hi, Margaret Shaw, Amityville. I just want to do a wrap up of this concept of raising having a tax levy. It's like, I always equate this financial stuff as like a homeowner, because it's the only thing I can draw from it, because I am a homeowner and I do have a budget or whatever, but it's like I'm sitting on $10 million in my personal account and I go to get a business loan. I mean, a personal loan. That's what this is like equating to. You have all this money sitting in the bank, but yet you have to have more money and you're going to get a loan or something like that and put yourself out there. Like, it makes 0 sense when you have money to take care of things without making cuts. Children get what they need, surfaces get paved, so on and so forth. All the things that it may not be everything, but within reason, the things get done. But yet you're sitting on this money and you're basically putting out for a loan on the backs of the taxpayers. It makes absolutely 0 sense. And that's my only equation that you can put on it, because you're sitting on money, but let's go to the bank and get more. It's a crime. It's criminal.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Seeing none, committee input is now closed. I'm going to go to agenda item 2C1. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C1, please?
Motion.
Second.
One second. Chris Nairn is first. Leslie Kretz is second. So this is for the Western Suffolk BOCES. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda item 2C, 2A, and B altogether? Or does anyone need anything done separately?
No.
Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C, A, and B?
Motion.
Second.
Carol Seal is first, Chris Nairn is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C3, please?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nairn is first. Carol Seehoff is second. So this is for and I'll do it, I should have said this will be for the 1.56.
Yeah, Madam President, if it's all right, can I introduce an intervening motion for a 0% tax levy increase vote?
Anyone willing to accept that intervening motion?
Sure.
Yes.
Anyone opposed to accepting the intervening motion?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Can I bring,
Leslie, are you?
Well, it's just going on the agenda, right?
No, he's
Yeah.
Juan's doing, say it again.
Sure. Well, just like we have.
He
an
wants to
op-
do an intervening motion, so that's what his question is.
Just like we have an
Or
option
0%.
for 1.56, Mr. Dragon of a zero, exactly.
So he wants an intervening motion to put,
Intervening- yep.
on the, as an option, as a 0%. You have that, okay. So all those in favor of the intervening motion to put as an option for 0%?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is put on.
Put it on.
Just to put it on as an option.
Can I just do an intervening motion for,
Let me just finish this one, please. Option
so we
one.
just vote on all three at the same
Hold
time?
on one second. Hold on one second. I'm trying to finish this one, please. So we're looking, so is it intervening motion for the 0% to put it on as an option? So the one who, yes, was Chris, Juan,
Megan,
Megan,
Leslie.
Leslie. I'm a no with the intervening motion. Carol?
No.
So the motion carries 4-2 for the intervening motion to put it on as an option. Hold on one second. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna have to go down the line. I need to amend this vote, amend the motion. For adoption of the 26-26 budget and publication of the property tax at the 1.56%. So I'll do one motion at the 1.56, one at 1.45, and one at 0%. If the 1.56 is, I have to do one at a time.
Right, but Madam President, would it make more sense to do the 0 and then increasing?
Whatever you want to do, I don't,
Yeah.
so can
Yes.
Yes.
I amend the motion for a budget of 0%,
Tax levy increase of 0%.
tax levy, yeah, of 0%. So what's
Why
on
don't we
the,
start with the proposed?
I think we need to start with the proposed. Let's start with it,
But
we,
if,
we did an intervening motion of adding to 0%. What we have on the table right now is 1.56, 1.45, and the 0%. That was an intervening motion. I'm gonna go down the line. So I'm
No, wait,
amending,
So,
we're gonna
sorry.
do the 1.56, 1.45, and the 0%.
Madam President, respectfully, I don't think that makes sense. I think we have to start from the 0 to increasing amounts.
So at this point in time,
does
this
the
is-
intervening mean that we need to do that first? 'Cause it's
Yeah.
no.
blocking it from
Why?
happening?
Yeah.
So,
It does.
Why do we need to do it
Okay.
first?
I believe we've done this before.
So you know what, let's do, you know what, let's just do it this way.
do 0.
So can I have can I amend the motion to do the tax levy at 0%? Can I have a motion to amend the motion, amend the agenda, all right, for tax levy at 0%?
We already
I,
did
I
that.
think we added it on
Right.
already.
So
Now we're calling for
Now-
a vote.
can I have, because I have to amend it, because can I have a motion for the tax levy at 0% for the budget? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Juan Leon, Megan Messin, all those opposed? Aye.
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 Motion fails 4-0. I mean, 2-0, sorry about that. So
No.
Juan, Megan, 2-4.
It fails 2-4.
Yeah, Juan and Megan were yes.
Yes.
Lisa?
All others were opposed.
Chris, I want to make sure my district clerk has it, Leslie. And Carol. Can I have a motion
Can I
for,
do the intervening motion for the 1.45%?
I'm doing that next.
Okay, thank you.
I'm doing next. All right. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the budget at 1.45%?
To add to the agenda.
No, it's
Yeah.
already there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah, for 1.45 for the, all those in favor for the budget at 1.45?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Motion fails 2-0. That's Lisa. I'm sorry, 2-4. Lisa, Carol, Leslie, and Chris. Can I have a motion for the budget of 1.56%?
Motion.
I mean, all
Second.
those in favor, yeah.
Aye.
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 Chris, Carol, Lisa, Juan. I just need Megan and Leslie.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Megan?
I said yes to the others, so I'm gonna say no. I think that we could have,
Okay, so no.
yeah.
So the budget is at 1.56%. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C4, please?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon's first,
Four.
2C4.
Second.
Megan is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2D1, please?
Motion to approve?
Juan
Second.
Leon is first,
Second.
Chris Nair is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3A1, please?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon is first. Leslie Crest is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B1A, please?
Motion.
Carol Seoff is first,
Second.
Chris Nair is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B3A, please?
Motion.
Megan Messman is first,
Second.
Chris Nair is second. All those in favor?
Well, Lisa, did the community members say their version was empty?
For this one is
The name.
3B3A is appointment of Director of Fine Arts and Performing.
Yes, but
Is-
the public agenda says
Does it?
TBD.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's appointment of Director of Fine and Performing Arts, and the person's name is Kimberly Uzel.
Busio.
Uzel. Okay. Sorry about that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Madam President, I'm going to have to abstain. I wasn't here for the interview.
So 5 yes, 1,
501.
5 yes, 1 abstain. Can I do 3B4A through
Just
BB
Q.
altogether? Or anyone need done separate?
A through Q, please.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B4A to 3B4Q?
Motion.
Second.
Carol Seoff was first, Chris Nair is second. Any discussion on these items?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item, can I do agenda item 3B4R to 3B4BB altogether?
Motion.
Second.
Yes.
Any discussion on these items?
Yes. So this is the Curriculum Advisory Committee. And the backup had said for the year of 25-26. So wanted to discuss potentially amending the backup to state from April 21st through June 30th, 2026. Rather than the blanket 25-26 that's listed in the backup for the hourly rates, which I'm trying to find the backup now. I'm sorry.
We don't see any issue with that.
Oh,
We don't see any issue with the proposed.
oh, okay. So we would, because I wasn't sure that it was like if we were doing anything retroactively, so I just wanted to
No.
edit it to the next 2 months.
There's nothing retroactive, so
No.
if we amend it, that's fine. If we leave it as is, it's fine. We're
I
not
would
going
like to
back.
move, yeah,
No.
I think it should be April 21st through June 30th.
So can I have a motion to amend that motion? To change the backup to reflect the start date of April 22nd, 2026. April 22nd, 2026 to June 30th, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Megan Messman is first, Chris Nieren is second. So all those in favor of amending this motion?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Right, so now I'll do the vote for, can I have a motion for agenda item 3B4R to 3B4BB as amended.
Motion to approve?
Juan Lino is first, Leslie Kretz is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B4, 8A?
Yep. Motion to approve?
Second.
Juan Leon is first, Chris Nieren is second. So that's for 3B,
8A.
3B4,
There's no four.
8A.
No, it's 8A. There's no
Sorry about 3B,
8A.
8A, sorry about that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 6-0. All right, there's nothing else in this area that we're going to address. So now I'm down to, no, we're not addressing it. Now I'm down to 3D.
You're not going to call
We're not-
C1.
We're down to 3C2. Can I have a motion? So Leslie Kretz is first.
Second.
Carol Stewart is second. Any questions on 3C2?
Yes. So this is a 4-year agreement with BOCES, some $400,000. I just wanted to discuss a little bit what sort of due diligence we've done in ensuring that this is the most cost-effective plan going forward for the multi-year service agreement, since we haven't really spoken about that in particular.
So we have been looking at both lease and purchase options. And as Mr. Leon mentioned, we do look at a plan for making sure that all of our devices are up to date. We align it with our technology goals. We've been working with BOCES on the best option. So we have reviewed both sides, the leasing and purchasing, and then BOCES helps us with the vendors.
Okay, so you've done the financial analysis of the leasing and the purchasing, but we don't go out to RFP. Or you have gone out to RFP.
No, we do that through BOCES.
You just go to BOCES. So we haven't gone to an outside firm to obtain costs for purchasing. or
However,
leasing.
BOCES does exactly that. They do go out for an RFP for financial services so that they have chosen, I think it's Key Bank that they use now for the purpose of the lease purchase agreements. So they do the work for us in terms of the financial, the financial due diligence.
Okay. And we're like locked into this for the 4 years.
Yeah, the advantage to doing it this way is that we're really getting $1.6 million worth of equipment at a cost of about $400,000 a year, as opposed to buying it outright. So
Why do you
yes.
say that?
Well, this is a lease purchase, right? So what we're doing now is we're agreeing with BOCES, they're going to give us all of this equipment, whatever the value of the equipment is, and we're going to finance it over the space of the next 4 years in accordance with an RFP that they issued to banks to get the best financing rate. So it's kind of a win-win for both sides. We also get aid on this purchase at approximately 60% of the cost. So not only do we get more equipment quicker, we spread it out over the space of 4 years so that we pay the same amount each year for 4 years, as opposed to one big lump sum 1 year, and we get aid.
Okay, okay, so thank you. So I guess in the 26-27 budget, we're getting the 800 Chromebooks, right? Because that's what this is. So next year we have, because it's the 26-27 is our year one. And there's new Chromebooks.
Yeah, that's a Mary question.
That's correct.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1 to approve the corrective action plan with the amended changes as discussed in the audit committee?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nairn is first. Carol Seehoff is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3F1?
Motion.
3F, hold on, Chris Nairn is first. Leslie Kretz is second. Any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering what the reason for this training is at the end of his time in the district. Yes, and what does the district gain out of this training?
So Mr. Draco, you want to give a synopsis of the training?
Sure. This is the annual meeting of the Association of School Business Officials of New York State. It's something I've attended every year for the past 30-something years, no matter which district I've worked in. I bring back from this conference a slew of information about upcoming changes in law. I attend conferences about the FOIL process as the Records Access Officer. I attend conferences about payroll and changes in payroll. For example, this year, a heavy topic at the conference will be the no tax on overtime, quote, no tax on overtime that Mr. Trump has proposed, which really isn't a no tax on overtime. It's a very complicated system to implement. All of those things are being provided by experts in their field, and it's to my advantage and the district's advantage to have that information brought back.
So in the 20 or so days remaining with your time in the district after that, we'll benefit from
Yeah,
that
you'll
training?
have the information forever. You may not have me forever,
Yeah, we're
but
not
you
gonna
will
have
have
you
the
forever, Joe.
information.
You never know, he might be back.
Stranger things have happened.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, here? Oh, yeah. Madam President, I also share the opinion of my fellow trustee, trustee Messman, and what another member of the community and also trustee Nearing has just said, which is it's $850. And, Mr. Dragon, I appreciate your services. I appreciate your service to the financial world of school districts. But for the school district to pay $850, and it really is at the end of our commitment with you, not knowing if you will be staying or not, makes it a little bit difficult for me to be able to approve it at this time.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
Any other discussion on this item?
Will you, of course, you'll be coming back and sharing the information. Who do you share it with?
Of course.
The rest of the administration or?
And
Your-
with my staff in the business office, yes.
So the information obtained from me will also be beneficial to the staff in the business office
Absolutely, yes.
and to your
I wish-
successor.
I'll tell you the truth, I wish that I could bring other staff with me as well to the conference. We just don't have the money in the line to do that. You'll remember that I put into the budget for next year a
Right.
line for staff members to attend the SBMW, which is the School Business Management Workshop, which is held in the fall. That's a workshop where I would hope that we'd have a number of members of the business office staff on a rotating basis attend the conference. And I would also hope that there would be money in the budget for your next Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations to attend the annual meeting of the school business officials of New York State. The information that is provided is the only place that it can be gotten. The teachers' retirement system comes and gives a workshop. The employees' retirement system comes and gives a workshop on the latest in law. I think it's very valuable to me as well as to you.
So, Mr. Dugan, will you document how the information and whom it was turnkey to?
Sure, I would gladly give a report to the Board of Education upon my return, if that's your
Thank
wish.
you.
Any other questions or comments on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-2. At this point in time, can I have a motion to adjourn at 8:54?
Motion.
Second.
Carol Seehoff, Leslie Kress, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you for joining us.